Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, we are going to take a tour of the two shade gardens here at the house. They are looking phenomenal right now, and I just want to share them with you to give you an update on how they are doing, because you have been in these spaces many times with us. Yesterday, my mama and I were in here working like little two crazy gardeners, having the most fun putting on some, adding some annuals and just taking care of the space. So now that we have got it all nice and pretty, I just wanted to share that with you. This is the shade garden that is right beside of our house, obviously, yes, and then you can see that the driveway is just off to my left, and we have a little nice narrow strip of grass here. The reason that we get shade here is from the house. The sun actually is about to come up behind Jerry right now, so this does get direct sun in the morning for about 4 hours. So on some of these plants, I am pushing my shade requirement, but they have done really, really well. I have worked this bed many times in the 19 years that we have lived here. So just think, this is not an instant garden, because remember, gardening will teach you patience, and we have reworked it a lot. This is the fullest my perennials have been ever, and I love them. So I'm going to go through and just kind of share with you the ideas and the names as I remember them, but don't get too focused on like the specific type of hosta it is or the euchera. Remember, you go and shop your local garden center and find what they have and incorporate the design ideas, maybe not specifically the exact plants. This area is definitely the shadiest area. It also gets the most water because we do have a hose right here, and so this gets more moisture. So you can see this gorgeous, this is Wiggles and Squiggles hosta. I actually have 3 in here, and this by far is the most mammoth one. It is ginormous. It clearly had a very good winter because it is just huge. So Wiggles and Squiggles will be a nice chartreuse color. You will see as the summer progresses, it will lighten up. If I had more shade, it would stay that nice bright chartreuse, but you can see it's starting to turn a little blonde here. That is because of some of the direct sun. So I pair my hostas, and there's really not a rhyme or reason as far as like which specific hostas I used. We had Wiggles and Squiggles, and I thought it was really cool, so I used it. A couple of years ago, we were able to grab some white feathers. This is white feather hosta. It comes out white, so you can see in the center, some of those are just pure white, and then they will mature to green with some white in there. It is taller and it has more of an upright habit. So obviously, right, we want to put our tall things in the back and work our way forward with the small things. This euchera is the dressed up evening gown from Proven Winners. It is planted directly in the ground. A lot of times I'll tell you that I struggle with my eucheras being in the ground, but it has done well and it is blooming. Then in the back here, I have 2, these are just the old-fashioned bleeding hearts. These are going to be ones that bloom very early on, and so they can fill in and be really nice. I have a couple of sporadic blooms over here with Bashful Betty that you can see kind of hanging out there with the fern. In the heat of the summer, they'll kind of melt away, and that's okay because I have a hydrangea. My other hostas will hide that they are disappearing. They cannot handle the heat, and so by July, they'll start to look like they're dying. They're not dying, they're just going dormant. And then, of course, we come back in with more hostas. I think this is like, I don't know which one that one is. I mean, we've had it forever, and it probably came as a little grouping from my mom. Then I've got 2 of the spot-on pulmonaria. They too are love and life. They are very close together and they have grown really huge. But again, a different kind of color, right? Different texture, very nice spotted color to it. Just really fun. And these are semi-evergreens for me. My mama has come in because she has shade gardens, and so she has little clumps of different, I've got trilliums in here. I've got some Jack in the Pulpits. This is another of the dressed up ball gown. Yes, dressed up, no, evening gown, sorry. Ball gown is chartreuse. This is evening gown, which is that black. And then this fern is really fun. This is called Dre's Dagger. And Dre's Dagger, we sold, I mean, like years ago. I don't even know where we would find any more Dre's Dagger. But it reminds me very much of the Proven Winners, the Crested Surf. Crested Surf is a Japanese painted fern, so it has different color, but it has those fun little tufts on the end like Dre's Dagger does. This is going to be a lower growing fern. That is why I have it in the front, doing really well. Another euchera, this is Smoke and Mirrors, and it's actually in a pot. I tried it in a pot and it has been sitting in a very low, you can't even see the pot for years. I have a feeling that the roots are have gone down into the ground for sure. Now, this is going to be a little tricky area to film, but I want to share with you what Mama and I did with our hay racks. Now, all of these that you're going to see, there's 3 of them. They all came from Kinsman Garden Company. I love Kinsman Garden Company because they have great products. This is obviously a wall hanging. So what we're doing is I have used the Primrose. It's the Double Delight Primrose Begonia. And this is a really fun begonia because it is mounding and it is trailing. I also use this on the back porch in a container, if you remember when we did that one. And then the Lemon Blush Caladium. This is the Heart to Heart Lemon Blush Caladium. It will get, so the caladium can get, I think, like 18 inches tall. So think of it nice and tall and coming out and filling in. And then I'm going to let Jerry maybe swing over right here because there's a beautiful begonia that is blooming. That nice, really thick, full flower on it. The top of the flowers almost have like a peachy pink, so they work really well. But just imagine that they too are going to be nice and they're going to get some height to them, not nearly as tall as the caladium, and then they're going to trail over. It is not going to be like a petunia where it's like massive trailing. I didn't want, this year I went with minimal, right? We're keeping it simple and elegant and classy and just really, really simple. Sometimes simple is really good. So these will trail over probably to about maybe mid here. I wouldn't think they're going to go much more than that. So you'll still be able to see the container. But you can see that we did the other hay racks the exact same way. We planted them all the same way. Here we put in 4. These were the 8-inch pots of caladiums. It is that lemon blush, and then we really did jam pack it with the begonias. I have learned that as my garden is maturing, I really can't have anything that trails over a lot because it goes into the garden. My plants are coming up. This one especially is very low. It's only maybe 3 feet off the ground because of this big kitchen window. But just, I mean, like, y'all, look at that. Look at that massive bloom. Is that not just stunning? I love this. So this is the Double Delight Primrose Begonia. And there are more Double Delights. This is just the Primrose. So it's a beautiful, nice, soft yellow. Really fun. So I get so excited about these things. I just have to say, look at the flower. And then you'll see in here periodically, like we have little yard art. This is just stuff that I have found either online or out and about when we go visit garden centers. But as we make our way through here, we transition from less hostas because this is kind of where I'm losing my shade right here. You can see this is that other wiggles and squiggles. As we go down and we get more sun, the wiggles and squiggles gets progressively smaller. And that's just a sun issue and probably a little bit of water also. Brunnera, this is, I don't remember if this is Jack of Diamonds or Queen of Hearts. I don't remember. They're very similar, but that Brunnera is just another great shade perennial, especially if you have deer or rabbit pressure issues, then this is nice. It's like the Pulmonaria. It's very hairy. It's very coarse. It is not smooth and silky like a hosta is. I'm not saying it's deer proof. I'm just saying it's going to be more deer resistant. Beautiful coloring on it, and it will do these little very wispy true blue flowers on it. It is a gorgeous plant. Depending on your weather, it will be either a semi-evergreen or it will completely be deciduous like a hosta, go completely away and then come back up. Now, the star of this flower bed has turned out to be these Aurelia Sun Kings. This is a spikenard. There are 2 in here. When I planted them, I did not think that they were going to love this space as much as they do, but they do. And they're still growing. They're not done yet. So I have to, because I was thinking, okay, I place them symmetrical with this hay rack. So we're gonna have 2 right here, and they're gonna grow and be beautiful. I thought they would stop about right here. Last year they just kept going, and so I imagine this year they're gonna keep going as well, because all of this is new growth right here. So all you see, I mean, there's still just a popping out right here, but this is a wonderful, extremely low maintenance shade perennial. In the winter, yes, it dies completely back. This is all brand new growth from this spring. So once it sprouts, it really comes back a lot. I don't know the exact growing zones on this. I just know it's extremely versatile, because when we were at the Grand Garden Show this summer on Mackinac Island, they had these everywhere on the island. Now, they weren't as big because their growing season isn't as long as ours, but they had them. So they're going to be very nice and cold tolerant. Think about upper Michigan, right? All the way down here to North Carolina. Beautiful, low maintenance, fantastic, gorgeous, gorgeous perennial. Then here is that other hay rack, right? So this is like a half circle, and this is where especially I cannot have anything that really trails. My first year, when these were still growing and they were babies, yes, I had things that came down and trailed a lot. Last year, there's no point, because these just come up so high. So these will come over a little bit, and if I need to keep this trim back a little bit, I can go in there and selectively take out some limbs so that it's not so tall. We'll just play with it. This basket will get the most sun out of all of them, and that'll be right at my 4 hours or so in front of this kitchen window, but does great. Everybody asks when we're in here where the mushrooms came from. That was a local potter. She made them. She has shows every couple of years. It's not something that, unfortunately, that you probably would be able to get, but that's the point, is to go out and look in your community. Look for those local artisans in your community and find something fun and unique for your garden, because these little mushrooms, they're great, and they just come off. So if you are a potter, maybe you can get some ideas and do those. Now, the annuals that we added, every year I have to have this Broalia. This is Endless Illumination, and Endless Illumination is a beautiful blue, rich kind of purple. These are annuals. These are for shade. They're gonna take that morning sun. They will be okay. I have to keep them watered. This bed is not on irrigation. So if it gets water, I have to come in here and water it. These will make beautiful, nice mounds. So this will get to be probably about this tall and really fill in. I might even have to move my mushroom a little bit. It might come into there, but these are going to grow together as one big mass. I try to keep them a little bit away from the grass so that we can come in here with the mower or the bed edger, the weed eater, whatever we need to do, and maintain this line. But they're going to get nice and height to them and fill in. My hellebores, it's okay. Their season of flowering is done. So they're going into the season of just being nice greenery for a nice backdrop for this Broalia. This is that other Wiggles and Squiggles. This is the third one. So you can see we have like baby bear, mama bear, and papa bear. So this is definitely the smallest one. And then I tucked in some of the double impatiens. So this is the Rocapuco coral reef. Now you can choose whatever color you want, of course, right? There's a lot in that line. And they just bring a really fun, they will get nice and mounded. They don't really like to be fertilized. Gorgeous big pop of that coral color, that peachy color. So, Mama, if you're watching this, I think we need to get some opinions from our YouTube viewers and Facebook viewers to see if they like the double impatiens in there. Because when I was doing it, Mom was like, I don't know. And I was like, Mama, they're going in. So it's just a little running joke between me and my mama, how they're going to do and how they're going to look and go in with the bed. And then we have this blue pot. I love cobalt blue pots. In this wintertime, it works really well because it gives me some height in this bed when everything else is gone. We moved it down here and just filled it with 4 of those primrose begonias. Again, nice mounded. It'll be like a huge specimen. This is what we call those, that monoculture, right? It's the same plant, but multiples, and it's gonna get big and spill over and gives me some height here. More of the Broalia coming down into the pink Chablis Lamian. I planted this last year. The mushrooms used to be here. Lamian has taken it over. So Lamian, this is the pink Chablis. Lamian is a beautiful, for us, it is a perennial. It is a wonderful ground cover. These are 3 plants. So just to give you an idea, 3 plants, they were evergreen. In the winter, they didn't look obviously like this, but they were still here. And then the pink Chablis, of course, has that beautiful pink flower. It will be a continuous bloomer. And then, yeah, I do have to kind of trim it because it was getting a little bit up into my ghost fern, but that's all right. I love this. So the white by the gate, see, here comes the sun. The white by the gate, camellias are not naturally a climbing camellia. We have to actually train this to go up. We have a whole video on that. I'll link that for you. But this is a white by the gate camellia that will fill in and get massive. And then as we come down, we have got like more of the Rocapucos. We've got the Solomon Seal that I love. And then another whole cluster here of the Endless Illumination Broalia. Now, I did rip out my hydrangea that was here. It was a macrophylla hydrangea, so it bloomed on old growth. And excuse me, this has been, last year it did sporadic blooms. It wasn't ever like a showstopper because this area, when we get cold air and we get those late frosts, north is in like right here and it just gets pounded. And so this is prime real estate for me. Like I'm like, guys, you've got to perform. So I took out that one. It got moved to the woods somewhere where it's more protected. And then I went ahead and put in a white wedding panicle hydrangea from Southern Living. So Southern Living says this is the most shade tolerant panicle hydrangea. Now this corner is going to get the most sun out of the whole bed because it takes a little while for the sun to get around. But the white wedding is going to be 4 to 5 feet tall and about 3 to 4-ish feet wide. So I can see it obviously when we sit on the front porch. It is a gorgeous white panicle hydrangea, does bloom on new growth, means I'm guaranteed to get flowers every single year. So I just went ahead and said, you know what, old Mac, you're out, and we're gonna come in with the panicle so that I get some absolutely beautiful flowers and it makes a nice display. And hopefully it will keep Brenna from trying to jump off the porch. And then sometimes we have delivery people that like to walk through the flower bed to put the packages on the front porch. If you're a delivery person, please don't walk through people's flower beds. Use the sidewalk, it's just right there. All right, so that was my little soapbox for half a second. Now we're gonna hop on over to the forest pansy bed because, oh my, it is looking spectacular right now. The forest pansy bed is directly behind me, but before we go really into the flower bed, I want to share with you these begonias. Now you may think, oh gosh, Jenny, get off the begonias. I'm sorry, I cannot help it. These things are spectacular. These are going to be new introductions for Proven Winners next year. I believe they have been proven selections with Proven Winners. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's right. Next year they're getting bumped up to Proven Winners. I think we can understand why. So this is that Selenia series. If you remember when we did the deck boxes, the back porch, I had the Selenia yellow. This is the Selenia apricot, and there are some more colors in that Selenia series. But dear heavens, is this not the most gorgeous flower you have ever seen? Now there are 2 plants in here because I wanted to fill up this urn from Unique Stone. Again, it's going to be more mounded and it's going to fill in because these urns, while they're simple, I don't want to, I mean, they do have some decoration to them. They're not super ornate, but I don't want anything super flowy down. And that's a really technical term, super flowy down. This does not hold a massive amount of soil. So because it's nice and like you look at it and you think it does, but because Unique Stone is so nice and thick and heavy duty, the inside of it is not a massive amount of soil. And I want these to go all the way through the fall. So I need something that doesn't have a vigorous root system like, say, a Vista bubblegum, right? Begonias will do great and I am loving them. Gorgeous. Now, we did take those, Mama was helping me yesterday, and we went ahead and put some in the ground right here. So these will be kind of our test, right? We have them in containers. I have the Selenias in a hanging basket. I have them in the deck boxes. And now here we have them directly in the ground. But today, we're focusing on the shade garden, right? So we're gonna stay on this side. We'll come back over here later, so just ignore that over here. Now you're looking at this, right? The big picture right here, and you're like, Jenny, you said this is a shade garden. Well, you got sun. Yes, I do, because the sun is coming up behind me. This section of the flower bed, like you can see, this is a forest pansy redbud. This section gets morning sun. As the sun goes around back closer to the patio where it's in deep shade right now, it will get full, intense, hot afternoon sun. Everything underneath the forest pansy will be in the shade. And this truly is a bed that I have had fun with for the past. We bought this tree as a 15-gallon when I was pregnant with Jackson. Jackson just turned 13, so this was a 15-gallon. And you can see the size of it is what it is now. It's almost as tall as our 2-story house. It does those classic redbud flowers in the early spring, and then these beautiful heart-shaped burgundy leaves. So this is the forest pansy redbud. As this tree has grown, my shade garden has gotten bigger. And in here, when I say there's no rhyme or reason, this is truly a bed where I find a plant, and it could be a specimen plant, and I love it. And if it's the right size, then it goes in here. Nothing in here is super tall. In the back, we do have some of, people will ask, I'm gonna try to tiptoe through here, but people ask what these are. Those are Florida Sunshine Elysiums, right? So, and it's in the nice chartreuse color. As it gets more shade, and because they've had some winter sun on them, so they're a little fried right now, they will really deepen up and just be that beautiful chartreuse color. So we kind of have them in the back. They are evergreens. And then down through here, we have, these are autumn ferns. And these autumn ferns, again, clearly, they had a very good winter. Nice, there are 3 clumps in here. I planted them as 1 gallons, but just, I mean, like massive, beautiful, nice evergreen ferns that have done, they love this spot. They really do enjoy it. And then we have hostas, right? We're still working from the tallest in the back, and then moving forward to the shortest in the front. Back here, deep shade, right? Deep shade. I do have this is another of those white feathers. You'll notice it's not quite as white. And then as we come through here, these 3 are Sum and Substance. This was one plant that I divided a gazillion times because it was so massive. Again, you see this one gets a little bit more sun, so it's a little bit bigger than the one that's in the deeper shade. But those are all Sum and Substance. The idea is that they will get nice and big and grow together. And then we have, a lot of people will think maybe this is drinking gourd. It's not. This is Big Daddy. So this is Big Daddy hosta, a nice, rich, what we call a blue hosta. Pairs really nice contrast with the Sum and Substance. Still has those cupped leaves to them. And actually, we're getting ready to have some buds. So we've got some flower buds forming. Random ferns that I have found, more Brunnera. I've got eucharis in here. Then, I mean, we just have fun, right? So Mama and I, this is our bed that we have really developed over the last 13 years together and had lots of fun in it. So we'll keep on moving. So because this front gets more sun, I can have more sun tolerant plants in here. By 1 o'clock, this is in complete shade. So yes, I do have a hosta here next to a really nice black astilbe. This hosta is going to be a test. I have a little bit of brown on it. We'll see if it burns. If it does get too much sun, then I'll have to take it and move it back deeper into the flower bed. But I planted this at the end of the summer last year. And then this beautiful geranium. The perennial geraniums, if you have in your local garden center and they have some geraniums, now this is what I call, this is a perennial geranium. This is not what we think of like Southern Classic geraniums, right? No, just a really beautiful, nice, rich purple on it. And then we come over here to Munchkin. Look at Munchkin. Munchkin is the most petite oak leaf hydrangea on the market. And she is a happy girl. She's getting ready to just flush out in total blooms. But I love having her really nice here. About 2 feet, is about 1.5 to 2 feet tall is all she's gonna get. the wildberry eucharis that you saw me that was in here, I took those out. We've got just gorgeous plants in here. Those of you last year that were wondering how my what is this? I forget what the technical name is, but it's the pitcher plants, right? So these are carnivorous plants that bugs are attracted, like to see. Whoop. There was Jerry's coming over here. There was a fly on one of it. So this plant produces like a sweet, see the little ants right here? See those ants? Then they're gonna go in because they're attracted. They go in and they come down here and then they can't get out. And then the plant actually will disintegrate the little bodies and they eat them. I know it sounds weird, but it's like a Venus flytrap. No, it does not take away all my pollinators. It's okay. Somebody last year was like, is it gonna hurt your pollinator population? No, we're all good. Again, with this bed, have fun. Find plants that really you're attracted to, that you love. You can have onesies and twosies in here. You don't have to be matchy-matchy. It is okay. The generous gardener, she is, I would say, coming to the end of her massive bloom cycle. I told Mama, I said, it looks like we had a wedding right here where the bride came in and we all threw like rose petals at her. Because I mean, they are falling like crazy. Emily has her graduation party this afternoon, so it still looks okay enough for that, which I'm happy about, but still. As we go around to the backside, give you an update. Over here, you're looking and you're like, well, this is, again, it looks like it's total shade, but this section gets the hot afternoon sun. We've got butterfly bushes in here. This is, I've got 3 of these in here. This is a new hydrangea from Proven Winners. This is tiny quickfire. And so it's gonna be one of the smallest panicle hydrangeas on the market. Again, that 1.5 is kind of like Munchkin, but it's a panicle. Nice and tiny, and I've got 3 in here. Lots of fun, lots of fun. This is a perennial salvia that Jerry went to a workshop 100 years ago and propagated this. It was a propagation workshop. This is Diane, and so this is a salvia Diane, perennial, beautiful. You saw me put this planter together, and those are going to be new introductions. Corbels next year, not corbels, super bells, the super bells, and so they're going to be a new introduction next year, and that container is doing just great. And then we're just moving on around, right? Everything is looking gorgeous. This is another geranium. This is the Roseanne, very popular, you can find this a lot of different places. It is doing great, as is the Nemesia. This is the coconut Nemesia. That's going to be an improved version for next year. We planted this, y'all saw us plant this, and then let's just talk about too, this section right here, right? So we have the yin and yang viburnum that you saw me prune, and I pruned it pretty good, but look at this. Look how beautiful this is flushed out. Both of these plants responded really, really well to pruning. So if you have yin and yang and they're getting a little too leggy, prune them back. They handle it like champions. Like, look how nice and dense that plant is. It is really, I've been very, very happy with it. And then this is little quickfire hydrangea. Little quickfire gets the full hot afternoon sun. She is already covered in buds, especially on this hot side. And this is the little version. Big, beautiful, happy. I took her way back and she has just flushed out so nicely. But this gives a nice kind of a little privacy from the patio when we're sitting on the patio, because that, and then we have, this is the white chiffon Rose of Sharon. These grow up, so when you come around, it gives a little bit of an element of surprise and gives us a little privacy on the back. But back here in the shade garden, again, I think for me, a shade garden just lends itself to a little bit more whimsy, in that it's a very peaceful, calm, serene environment. And so you don't have to be super structured and you don't have to be very matchy-matchy. It truly is that you can find 1 or 2 of a plant that you just love over time and plop them in there. So just kind of remember, think about different colors, different textures, and then work from the tallest to the shortest and have fun, because gardening should be fun. As always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. We so appreciate you. Thank you for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.